Hello Newburgh, Pastor Steve here with our Monday Minute for the week of April 13th, 2020. I want to start off with a few reminders, and the first is that there will be nobody in the office today as it is closed for Easter Monday. But if you do have an emergency, you can call the church office. We will have our contact information available in case there's anything that does come up that you need to have services from us here at the church. So please do that. Also a reminder that if you've not had a chance to make your Easter offering, you can do so on our webpage at newburghumc.org under the Giving tab. Also, you can download the Give Plus app to your smartphone or tablet and make your contribution that way, as well as text to giving. Or you can mail in your contribution here to the church and we'll be happy to receive those. Those Easter offerings not only go to support our ministries here, but to help us to support our ministry shares for the United Methodist Church worldwide. So we hope that you would give generously to that in addition to your regular offering. We just celebrated Easter yesterday, and probably in a very different fashion than most of us are accustomed to. And we know that it just wasn't quite the same. It's hard for us to not see our families, not to see our friends, and not to be together in person as we worship on what is otherwise a very special and extraordinary day. Yet when we say things were not just the same, it got me to thinking about what that means for us as people of the resurrection, but also as people who follow Jesus in many different fashions. The first thing that it got me thinking about was that Easter Sunday is a reminder that it is not just an event that we repeat over and over and over again, but it is a reality that we live in. Easter is not just one day of the church, but it kicks off an entire season in the church. We will be in the season of Easter now through the end of the month of May when we celebrate Pentecost Sunday, which is typically considered the beginning date of the church. So now that we are in a season of Easter where we acknowledge the resurrection as a reality, in Lent, we're called to work out and discipline ourselves to be a better version of ourselves through Christ. That's why we give things up or why we take things on during the season of Lent. But now, this season of Easter, we have a chance to show the world about how we all can be better through the risen Christ. And I think we have seen the signs of that already. Whether we're being intentional about how we connect with one another over Zoom or FaceTime or Skype, I don't want to leave any platform out, but we're doing that intentionally to connect with one another. Neighborhoods are having quarantine block parties, being together while still practicing social distancing and being intentional about still forming community. People are going out of their way to help family and friends and loved ones by getting groceries for them or doing other basic necessities that they need. My wife even got a free pair of socks in the mail to say thanks for being a healthcare professional and for putting yourself out there on the front line. These are all life-giving things that we can give back to our community and to our world. And I think we are trying very hard to be intentional about that. That is resurrection. That is new life. The other thing that I got to thinking about is that while all the Gospels have a version of the story of an empty tomb, the Gospels are slightly different in how they tell that story. But even more so, their resurrection stories are all different. In John's Gospel, Mary Magdalene sees the risen Lord right there in the garden. It is in Matthew where all the women who are there at the tomb encounter the risen Jesus, and he tells them to go and tell his disciples and that he will meet them in Galilee. In the Gospel of Mark, Mark only gives us an empty tomb in its original ending. The other parts were added later. But in Luke's Gospel, Jesus meets two disciples that we have not heard from before as they are walking on the road to Emmaus. And Jesus goes unrecognized by them until they stop, until they sit down and they break bread together. And only then did they realize that their hearts were burning with an overwhelming joy that they could not understand until just that moment. The point is, Easter is a reality that we live with, and we all experience and come to know the risen Christ in a different way. We are also called to share in that different way through our very gifts. But we are called, no matter what, to live into that promise, to live into that hope and grace in the ways that Christ has called us. This week, let's continue to find those new ways, to reach out and to share the experience of the risen Christ that we have had, so that it invites others to experience the risen Christ in their own way. When we do that, we are being a resurrection people, and we're proclaiming that Christ is risen, not just for us individually in the ways that we experience Him, but by sharing that experience, we proclaim that Christ is risen for all the world. Have a blessed week. Stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you back here again soon.